Hey babes, and welcome to this week's episode of Urban Shamanism with me, Steffi Funk. And I am coming to you right from my car because I am feeling the need to be a little bit more raw and wild this week. And there was just a grasshopper on my windshield, and she told me this was the right time. And shit is flowing through my head and it wants to come out. So here it is, down and dirty. And this week we're going to be talking about the extraordinary part of the extraordinary life and how to be extraordinary. But before I get into that, I need to share a little personal story with you. So I used to play this game with people where I would share how small I felt. So it would look something like this, like, gosh, friend, I care so much what other people think of me. And they would be like, wow, Stefanie, you're so authentic. You're so vulnerable. And it was a complete winning formula because what I was really doing was making myself small so that I didn't appear big, so that I wouldn't lose their love. Because when I was a kid, I was extraordinary and I got creamed for it. And I'm sure that many of you watching this can relate to that. Whether it was one circumstances or many circumstances, there was a time when we were being ourselves, completely owning how amazing we are, and the girls on the playground stopped talking to us, or a parent withheld their love or whatever. And so I was afraid to be extraordinary. I was really afraid of playing big because I was afraid of how I would get taken out. So over the course of my, spiritual work and all the growth and the learning and all the things, I started to get something that vulnerability is extraordinary. Like this, me getting on with you right now and sharing that my vulnerability before was complete bullshit. That for me is real vulnerability, but it's as vulnerable as I know how to be today, right? Like there's layers and layers and layers of it. And there's so much pretense that in these games that we play to try to just navigate life. And oh my gosh, so much to say about this. So the first thing I want to say is that yes, vulnerability, true vulnerability is extraordinary. It's true power. And the other thing about that is most of us are exhausted. We're walking around sleep deprived and exhausted and not able to do the things we want to do in a day or making ourselves wrong for not getting things done. Well, pretense is exhausting. Wearing 100 different hats for 100 different people in 100 different roles is exhausting. When we can start allowing space for all of who we are, even what we consider our shadow sides, to be part of what makes us extraordinary, not extraordinary despite it, but extraordinary because of it, because our mess becomes our message, because we're relatable as fuck, because we have compassion for the human condition. We have energy that comes through us that we can accomplish in a day what it would take 100 humans to do. That's the level of energy leak that pretense is. And I'm not making it wrong. And I still have a ways to go. So vulnerability is extraordinary, but here's the extra part of this. Being extraordinary is the ultimate vulnerability. To own our bigness, to own how big we are, inclusive of every part of ourselves, whatever that is for you, right? I have so many women come to me and they're like, I'm drinking more than I should be for being spiritually enlightened. Fuck that. That's not true. Who says that you can't be spiritually enlightened and have a hangover? Who says? And I'm not condoning behaviors that don't serve us, because those can be energy leaks too. But the point of power is when we completely accept them in all of ourselves and give all of ourselves space. And by the way, I've done that. So I'm copping to what I just shared, because I just in this moment realized I'm not being as authentic as I can be. So there's that. Then the last thing I want to say about it is that sharing who you are from an authentic, vulnerable place, standing in your power, standing in extraordinary is what empowers other people to do the same. So we are not playing small when we play big. We are not playing selfish when we play big. We're giving everybody else out there room and permission to play big too. And it's like, how big can we get? How extraordinary can we get? And when we, inside of us, okay, there's like this other piece of it, which is there's so many things like on our hearts that we don't say because we're afraid of what people think, or we're somehow attached to the outcome, or we modify what we say because we're attached to the outcome. We are attached to the conditional love, or we're attached to the approval, or we're attached to something happening the way we want it to, so we don't speak our truth in the creation of it. And then what happens is, I'm losing my train of thought, but this is important. We end up with a mess. We end up with something that's some like variation of what we really wanted, because we didn't just say what was so for us. We just didn't say what was so. So inside of that is a belief, though, that you are not okay, that you are not supported, that you are not provided for, that you are not protected. When you get in line with your relationship with your Creator and you remember how fucking supported we are, how protected, how provided for. Like, God loves us unconditionally no matter what. Spirit's got your back. The universe has your back. Everything is always unfolding for your highest and best. You get to release all attachment to the outcome, and it frees you to say what's so for you, to play big, because you know that Spirit's got you no matter what. So you have like literally nothing to lose and everything to gain. And it's what will draw people into your orbit who support you, who get you, who are also in that same space of playing big and, you know, learning like how vulnerable, how authentic can they get. So with that is your weekly inner shaman practice. And it is really simple. It is to encourage you to notice the places where you are dimming your light. So dimming to fit in, or dumbing yourself down, or using vulnerability as a tactic to stay small. And where can you really own your truth and like say what you've been pretending, and say where you've been inauthentic, and say what's so for you, in a practice of completely letting go of attachment to the outcome, because you remember you're completely safe and provided for. So, you know, there's layers of this, and it's just a constant practice. Like, ooh, how deep can I get? How vulnerable can I get? How authentic can I get? And inside of that is extraordinary. Inside of that is all the energy you could ever want. Inside of that is true inspiration, intuition, impulse that you cannot resist, because it's got you so much by the heart, pulling you, like this video right here. I couldn't stop it. It was like this needed to come out right here, right now, in any way possible, and my grasshopper told me so. So with that, loves, practice that this week. Let me know how it goes for you. And remember, you are fucking extraordinary. Not despite your shadow, because of it. Because of the entire tapestry that is you. Any negative feeling that you're feeling, you are feeling that on behalf of every human that ever lived and ever is and ever was who had that feeling before. You are not alone. Like, it's all perfect. You are perfect. You are whole, perfect, and complete, and that empowers you to own every single bit of you. And I do. I stand for you. I love you. I'll see you soon.